Welcome everyone to the Hungarian Grand Prix here tonight at EXA Racing League. It is the X1 division and it is round 6 here, and it is a very exciting race to be had in just a moment because we have qualifying ahead of us. Just now we've started and the drivers still in the pits and are going to be starting to leave the pits very, very soon. So, just a quick recap on this season. Tony Ritchie in the Red Bull is currently leading this Drivers' Championship with 3 out of the 5 races won so far. He won the first 3 races of this season. And he got a podium in Singapore and Japan, so he's comfortably leading the season so far. However, his luck hasn't been too great. He hasn't won a single race not starting from pole. He's had 3 poles and he's converted each and every one of them. However, every time he hasn't started from pole, he hasn't been able to win. And it's not like he's been winning by a country mile in those 3 races. They've all been incredibly close. So another person to note here, this race is Mr. Sprogis in the McLaren, currently sitting in the pits. Has had quite a few podiums this season and is still chasing down his first win this season at EXA. And someone else to note down in the AlphaTauri is Rice. He is looking to be an esports professional by the end of this year and showed a great performance last week at Japan. And he told us in the post-race interview last week that he's going to be practicing a lot more for this league. So we're hoping to see some better performances from him so far later on in this season as he starts a flying lap. And let's get on board as he heads round the tight hairpin of turn 1 into the next DRS zone. He goes down towards turn 2 or turn 3, whichever one you prefer to call this. Another open hairpin into a flat right-hander, and that is the end of Sector 1 in just a moment. Heading into Sector 2, fast left-hander downshift, tap of the brakes. He's had the fastest Sector 1 so far. There's a couple of people who are on laps before him, and now the chicane, slowest part of this track, slowest corner, and then it's long, medium speed, left-right handers here in this third and final section of the track. Very tricky track, very easy to get track limits, very easy to spin as there's not a lot of runoff. It's mainly grass on the outside and inside of these corners. Heading round to the final few turns here, 2 hairpins in a row. Here's the final corner, get it tucked in just at the barrier there, release for the exit. And across the line with a 1:14.9. My apologies, he was the first person to start a flying lap. Ryan Grubb not far behind with a 1:15.4. And Brent in the Mercedes, 1:15 flat. And then Sousa, who we've seen some very strong performances, in fact, from both of the Haasers, taking up the 1-2 spots so far, 1:14.5 and 1:14.6. respectively for Sousa and Trixty. We've seen both Haasers having very strong performances. And in fact, Trixty, I believe, won the race last week in Japan in X1. So a very strong contender here. And a couple more people putting in some first laps here. We've got 10, 11, 12 people putting down laps. And we've actually got Morgan here putting in a lap. He hasn't had some very strong performances this season so far in the Aston Martin. However, putting down a rather midfield time so far of a 1:15.4, 1 second off the lead there. So quite a bit of time to find. So let's have a look if we can spot anyone else on a flying lap here. That's not a flying lap. That's unlikely to be a flying lap. That's an invalidated lap. That's an out lap. Ooh, what just happened there? That looked like there was about to be contact. I'm not seeing anybody on a flying lap as sorts, people rushing into the garage here. And let me just have a look at the chat from Rolly in the Twitch chat. So Ryan won last week in the McLaren, and Trixty the week before that. So I had it the wrong way around. It was Trixty who won Singapore, and then Ryan who won Japan. And yes, Tony Ritchie has converted pole in the first 3 times in this season, but hasn't been able to win. Not from pole, which he has done, which he hasn't been able to get pole in the previous 2 races. Is he going to be able to come back again today? Where is he on the leaderboard? Currently down in 4th. 4th fastest so far. Only 4 tenths off pole so far. So everyone heading into the pits, putting a new set of tyres on for the next few laps of qualifying. Got Ryan Grob here early out of the pits on an out lap at the moment. He's going to be the next person we watch. And what is this camera angle as he heads up the hill through turn 2? Just warming the tyres, you can see on the telemetry, braking and accelerating at the same time. Warms up the core of the tyres and the brakes here in this game. Not sure how that's going to be changed through F1 24, which is on pre-sale, by the way, which you can get. We'll be having, I believe we'll be switching to F1 24 at the end of this season. Hopefully there's a lot of good changes for F1 24. I've seen a couple of updates from the EXA Twitter about how things are with that game, especially in regards to tyres, but some new gameplay would be good. A lot of bug fixes would be nice from EA. But anyhow, 10 minutes left of qualifying as Ryan Grob makes his way down the main straight with DRS wide open. Let's ride on board as he barrels down to turn 1, braking just before 100 meters, get it turned in, misses the apex there, goes slightly wide, can't get it turned in enough for turn 1 and 2, and now round turn 3, another open hairpin here into a flat right-hand kink, plenty of curb used, doesn't even unsettle the car a tiny bit, and then it's a tad of brakes and a downshift, and a faster sector 1, by the way. Even with slightly messing up turn 1, he's set a blinding sector 1 into the chicane here. Don't use too much curb because there's a big sort of sausage curb on both of those apexes through the chicane. And now in sector 3, these high speed, medium speed, winding left-right combinations, and then into the next few corners. We've got 2 hairpins to finish off the lap. Here is the first one, the penultimate corner. And into the pits, actually. Very interesting. Have a look at the sector times for Ryan. They were very decent, but clearly not happy. Maybe he was down in the second sector. Let's have a look at Sousa. Currently heading into sector 2 and then up the hill. Sousa sets a 26.9 in the first sector. I believe that's the fastest we've had all session so far. A bit more curb there on the exit and entrance to that chicane than we saw Ryan do so before. Little lift round that right-hander, that long right-hander. Lovely use of the track here. It's just inch perfect here from Sousa. Really strong qualifying performances that we've seen from him so far. A little bit of a slide there as he gets a tad too much on the curb, exiting one of the final corners in sector 2. And now final 2 corners to go. Final corner and across the line. It's a 1:14.5. I don't think that was an improvement. In fact, it was 4 thousandths of a second off his fastest lap. His fastest lap is a 1:14.562, and the last lap he just did was a 1:14.566. So no improvement there for Sousa, but incredibly consistent. And let's have a look at his teammate, Trixty, heading round Sector 2 here, and not on a hot lap. Going for another cool down lap. Let's see if we can spot Tony Ritchie. Believe he has just started a flying lap as that Alpine is just bouncing across the road there. Very lucky not to get in his way, even though he was a while in front. That could have gone very wrong for Tony Ritchie in the Red Bull. Championship leader. Heading into Sector 2. Ooh, and he did set the fastest Sector 1. 26.9, equaling Trixty's Sector 1. But had a big moment there exiting that left-hand kink in Sector 2. So this might still be an improvement. He still seems to be going absolutely flat out to the line here. But it's not going to be... I doubt it's going to be pole position unless he's able to absolutely storm through this final few corners. 26.5 for the second sector. Very respectable time. Round the final corner. DRS wide open. Across the line, fourth fastest, even with that massive moment there in the beginning of Sector 2. Very scary for Tony Ritchie, but still manages to go up a few places. Gets knocked down by Mizzy, separating the two Haas's in the Ferrari with a 1:14.605. Had the fastest Sector 3 right there. Brilliant stuff there from the Ferrari. We haven't seen much of the Ferraris so far this season. The attention mainly on the McLarens, Red Bull, and the Haas. Saying that, Sprogis, who's been in contention for the win quite a few times this season, has retired. I wonder if he has a quali ban or some sort. So he hasn't put a lap in, and he retired straight away. So I'm not too sure about that. Rolly, if you're still in the chat, give us some info if you have any. Rolly is sort of my Ted Kravitz of the EXA Racing League, except he feeds the directions straight into the stream chat for you guys to read as well. Rolly is overrated. Well, considering I quite like my commentating position here in X1, I am inclined to disagree. Here comes Ryan Grob, Mr. Sprogis' teammate in the McLaren, about to cross the line. It's an improvement, only up to 12th though, for him. 5 minutes left of quali. Most people in the pits here going to be putting on new tyres and then leaving the track as it is getting grippier and grippier as every car passes through, putting down rubber on the corners. So we're going to see a lot faster times here in this final 5 minutes of quali. We've got 4 drivers out on the track. I believe most of them on an outlap. There you go, Lewis Walker in the Ferrari heading into the pits. Matthew May still hasn't set a time down and has currently invalidated his. Into the pits he goes. And Adam, Alfa Romeo, hasn't set a time down. Currently sitting in last of the standards, but goes 4th fastest. That brings him up with a 1:14.7. Brilliant time there from the Alfa Romeo driver. So we've got a Williams and a... what was that leaving the pits? A Haas as well. So we've got Sousa leaving the pits. Currently sitting on provisional pole by 0.04 of a second. Definitely going to have to improve in this final run of qualifying if he wants to absolutely lock down pole position. And Trixty needs to find himself 0.04 of a second to be able to make it a Haas 1-2 on the grid, locking out the front row for Hungary tonight. I, for one, am not hungry, as I ate my dinner just before this qualifying session. Also, if you'd like to hire me as a comedian, I have plenty of gigs open. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. Anyhow, a couple of drivers leaving the pits once more. There's Aston Martin leaving the pits now. And who is going to be first on the outlap? It's actually going to be... No, Adam's heading into the pits. It's going to be Sousa to cross the line first to start his final run in qualifying. 3 minutes left, and most drivers still in the pit lane, so there might be quite a bit of traffic when it comes to this final run. And Sousa just approaching the second to last corner here, making sure those tires and brakes nice and warm. And then it's going to be barreling down the straight as all of the cars are leaving the pits. Not great timing for Sousa. Definitely didn't want to slow down before, but now here we go. No, we're not going. He's decided to do another cool down lap. As you can see, lots of cars leaving the pits, deciding not to go for another lap because there's so much traffic. You can see all of the cars leaving the pits on the track map there. So let's see if we can spot anyone else who got out early on a flying lap. You've got Jax in the Williams with a bit of traffic in front of him. Brent gets a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking. I wonder if we're going to have a custom grid for that to be removed. Whether it was illegal blocking or not, I will keep you posted as I look in the X1 chat. But now Jack's currently sitting in 16th in the Williams. Down the chicane he goes. Not using as much curb as we've seen other drivers do so. Avoiding the sausage curbs and abandoning the lap. In Sector 2, it looks like, unless he just ran wide and had to recover. Doubt this will be much of an improvement. And by the way, Adam retires from the session in the Alfa Romeo, putting down a 1:14.752. And has retired. A little bit of a wiggle there, exiting that corner from Jax. As the car ramps up to 11,000 RPM and he opens the DRS. And it's across the line. No improvement. Sorry, that was an improvement. Up to 14th. So let's see. Let's have a look at our top 3 currently sitting. All on outlaps here. Sousa. Is he going to go for the outlap this time? The hot lap this time. Here he goes. DRS wide open. Someone else gets a 5-place grid penalty. Still not seeing any notice in the chat for, or any request in the chat for a custom grid. But here we go. Sousa round turn 1 and 2 he goes. Next DRS zone. Very short one. Only 2 DRS zones here in Hungary. And he's heading down to the final few corners of Sector 1. And we're about to look at his Sector 1 time. It's 27 flat, equaling the 5 fastest Sector 1s. I can only see the sectors down to a 10th on my telemetry, so it's hard to say how exactly much faster he is. But this all-important Sector 2, this is where it really, really gets tricky. Lots of throttle adjustment there around that long right-hander, and then another long right-hander here. Just about flat. Careful of the track limits there. Tony Ritchie puts it on pole for now. 1:14.529. Sousa has to go 400ths faster to secure pole. And it doesn't look like he's faster than Tony in the second sector. So it's all about these final few corners as he's about to cross the line now. Puts it on pole. Slams into a Williams in the process. Trixty goes faster than Tony as well. So it's a 1-2 for Haas at the moment. Very, very exciting way to finish that lap by Sousa. Straight into the back of a Williams that was just chilling on the main straight. So Tony Ritchie currently sitting in 3rd. Anton in 4th. Mizzy in 5th. Reese 7th as Adam is 6th, retiring on after his second run. Brent in 8th place. Lewis Walker 9th. Rice in 10th in the AlphaTauri. Williams in 11th. Tim in 12th. Matthew in 13th. Tony Ritchie's teammate Grosjean in 14th. Maxim in 15th. Ryan Grob in 16th. Very surprising outcome there for McLaren. Not a great qualifying performance. And Jax in 17th. Yasser doesn't put down a time with Morgan in 18th. Then Yasser 19th and Sprogis in 20th. I think we're going to have a custom grid there. So I'm just quickly going to get the screenshot just in case the... Just kidding. No, I'm not. It didn't let me get the screenshot. Come on, give me a... Let me get the screenshot. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, there. I've got the screenshot of the custom grid. Because we're going to need that. Let me just ping who is... I believe it's this person. That is the grid. So there you go. It's a front row lockout for Haas. You don't hear that often in F1, but you do hear in EXA X1. So we're going to have a custom grid for this one, which means drivers do not leave the session, but please make a spontaneous crash into turn 1. Excite us all, please. Unless the people with 5. Yes, so 2 people went in a restart, so it's going to happen. The red flag is out in the chat. And we get to watch a flamboyant explosion of front wing and front tires. Everyone will retire in a spontaneous fashion from this next race. But we've got to wait for the slow loading times. So, while we wait for that, I am going to run the / prediction. And we're going to do the prediction that we do each time. I forgot to complete the prediction from last race. Paul did not convert. But we're going to do the prediction for this race. Will pole position convert to a win? Yes or no? You guys have 2 minutes. I can't choose how. I really wish it wasn't 5 minutes because it's not going to take 5 minutes to get this done. We'll do 2 minutes. Put in your channel points to guess whether pole position will be converted as we get 5 lights out and away we go. Everyone sort of just... Oh my god. Wow, we've got a safety car. Wow. Wow, look at all these... Wow. Wow, look at that. The Williams is leading the race, and the safety car straight into the back of the safety car. The Haas takes out the Aston Martin, tries to take out the other Haas. Look at all these retirees. Absolutely lovely stuff here. Morgan leading the Grand Prix, straight into the barrier. Matthew May, the only other driver standing with a lack of a front wing. Here we go as he heads down into the second DRS zone. Is he going to put it in the wall? Straight into the Williams. Still can't crash it out. That Mercedes clearly built like a brick, but still not built strong enough for George Russell not to shag it into the barriers every time he's chasing someone down on the final lap. That's a reference to Singapore and Australia. Oh, bit of lag there. That Williams killed the safety car. That was hilarious. That was great fun. So, get your channel point predictions in for the actual real race. Should we look at the race director? Incidents. Jumpstart, jumpstart, jumpstart. How many people? How do you jumpstart twice? Ryan Grob jumpstart. How does everyone jumpstart twice? That's quite incredible. So yeah. All right, we're going to get the custom grid done in order, and then we will be ready to go once again. Just a reminder that after this race, we will have post-race interviews, as it is X1 tonight. So if you want to get the thoughts of the drivers and how they felt about the race, me and Chaz are going to be providing those post-race interviews for you with our podium finishers. Our top 3 will be... We'll ask them a couple of questions about the race. Always good fun to get the insights of the top 3 and discuss any potential moments or contact right there. So, 35 laps are going to be completed in just a moment as the admins get down the custom grid to the correct order. And it is Haas locking out the front row, Sousa, and then Trixty, Portugal, and then is that the Irish flag? That is and Ireland. Man, I really miss the Portuguese racetrack. It's so good. It's like a roller coaster. Can we ditch Miami and go to Portugal instead, please, Formula One? So while we wait, I'd like to take the chance to talk to you guys about Bus Simulator 21. This is not an ad. I'm just going to talk to you about my bus simulator experience. Bus Simulator 21 is genuinely one of the worst things I've ever played. It's so bad, but it's so funny just driving around in a bus. And then you can, like, leave people in wheelchairs behind. It's quite fun, but it's also terrible. It's not much of a simulator either. Just a bit crap. But it is free if you have Amazon Prime and you have your Prime account Twitch attached to your link. Hello, if you have your Prime account linked to your Twitch. More waffle than Icky Robo. What do you mean? Me? I don't waffle. I provide great insight for the EXA streamers. What's the difference between a dirty bus station and a lobster with big breasts? One is a busty crustacean and one is a dusty bus station. Is that how that joke goes? One is a dusty... Or is it crusty bus station and a crusty bus station and a dusty crust? I don't remember how it goes, but it's like a play on those kind of words. Guys, what if just on the days that EXA... One is a crusty bus station and the other is a busty... Yes! I knew I was right. I just couldn't remember how to say the last bit. Anyway, what if I was just to... On the days that EXA didn't have a race, just fully just hack into the stream, just take over it, and just start playing Bus Simulator. Like, imagine tuning into EXA going, holy crap, a race on a Saturday? And then it's just stuff with Simon playing Bus Simulator 21. Or WRC. I love WRC. It's so fun to play. Apparently, they're bringing out a VR version of it, and I have a VR, and I want to play WRC in VR. But the thing is, with me, with WRC, is occasionally, I'm not sure why, the car just tends to flip upside down. There was a stream when someone was playing Minecraft. Dude, I'm sick at Minecraft. I put in 2,500 hours into Minecraft in 2022. So, like, count me in. If we ever need an EXA Minecraft stream, I'll hop on Hypixel and just... You know, I actually play quite a lot of Hypixel. It's what I like to do in my downtime. It's funny when... Alright. Hang on. Rolly, why would you say balls in the chat? Oh my god. Whoa, why would you say balls in the chat, Rolly? That's derogatory. I can't believe you'd say that. What if we had a like a community what's it, Gartic phone night? Who here has Golf It? Why don't we do a Golf It stream? Who got pole? It was Sousa. No, Sousa got pole. Or was it Trixty? No, it was Sousa. It was Sousa and Trixty was second. I swear. Oh, I've just minimized everything, including OBS. Oof. It was Sousa. Yeah, here are the positions. Oh, we got the green flag. Time to go back to actually being a commentator. Anyway, listen. No, it can't be this Saturday. This Saturday I'm busy. Next Saturday, I am going to be doing an EXA stream takeover where I play Bus Simulator, Golf It, Gartic Phone, and Minecraft. And there's nothing that Rolly can do about it. Simon, what you're telling me is that the EXA Racing League Gartic Phone is TOS on Twitch. What if we just did a rocket-powered Mohawk-a-thon where we just watched every single rocket-powered Mohawk video on a Saturday? I do that. But then again, rocket-powered Mohawk is a bit much for Twitch. I could recite every single rocket-powered... Anyway. You love that guy, Simon? I know. Simon's pretty great. I know I am. I am the best. Thanks, Chaz. Right, jeez. I need to stop reading the chat. I need to get back into my name is David Croft mode. And beside me is Martin Brundle. Okay, so we have finally got back into the lobby after the custom grid has been sorted, and we've had a nice little interval. If I was Sky Sports this before, I would have put on an ad and told you about F1 to Q1. Turn your workday into something. I don't remember how it goes. But that really annoying ad. Anyhow, oh, I'm so unconcentrated now after that break. So, it's a Haas lockout. Front row lockout for Hungary. 35 laps to come of this very technical circuit. And pole might be converted here if both Haas drivers work together. Tony Ritchie leading the championship, currently sitting on the second row of this grid in third place. So that means he is it 16 meters behind pole position when we start this race. And the lights are going to come on. We've got 4 and we've got 5. And now the lights go out, and we've got a bit of a delay because, of course, we are on the internet. But now the drivers start driving, and both Haasers get away pretty well. Tony Ritchie closely following them behind as Trixie tries to cover off Tony Ritchie, and Sousa tries to cover them both off. Tony Ritchie gets ahead of Trixie into the first corner just about, and now they're barreling towards turn 3. There's a yellow flag at the back. That's race in the Alfa Romeo as Tony Ritchie ghost modes a little bit, which messes up Trixie just a tad. And now they're rounding sector 1, and Sousa still in the lead, and Tony Ritchie splitting up the 2 Haas drivers. So that front row lockout didn't last long. Tony Ritchie got an amazing start there and caught Trixie lacking as they head through the chicane of sector 2. All of the drivers funneling in well through this twisty technical second sector here. Let's have a look at Mizzy putting in a decent performance here for Ferrari, currently sitting up in 4th, as that is Brent just having a look down the inside of Adam in the background, but nothing to be made of it, as our leaders are going to start the finish the first lap in just a moment. Let's put on the tyre details so you can see who's on what. Sousa started on pole, currently with the soft tyre, looking to make an early advantage on Tony Ritchie, who is on the hard tyre. In fact, from P2 to P6, it's hard tyres, and mostly everyone is on hard tyres, apart from Sousa, Brent, Morgan, Tim, and the Williams currently sitting in 8th. I don't have to say his name. Apologies for that. They're on soft and mediums, and we can see Sousa's actually pulled out a 1.1 second gap already from this first 1 and a bit lap. So clearly looking to keep Tony Ritchie out of DRS range in these 2 DRS zones. One down the main straight and then one out of turn 1 through turn 2 and into turn 3. That is where the second DRS zone is. So they're back-to-back DRS zones, but only one detection point, which is just before the final corner. You can see that on the mini-map in the bottom right of the screen. So Sousa getting away well in the lead, and Trixie hunting down Tony Ritchie to try to make this a Haas 1-2. However, we are in the early stages of this race, and this race could go in any direction here. And you can see just there, Sousa setting another fastest lap, 118 flat. Those soft tyres clearly putting them to good use. He's not using that much battery either, so he's going to save some for when those soft tyres start to go off to try to defend from Tony Ritchie as he has the tyre advantage in the early stages of this race. We could even see a two-stop from the people who are on the soft tyres. That is entirely possible here. So Trixty just about keeping up with Tony Ritchie, but having to use a lot of battery. And in fact, Tony Ritchie is using quite a lot of battery as well to try keep up with Sousa. But so both our top 2 and 3 using a lot of battery, and Mizzy using a lot less. You can see the ERS percentage is almost double on Mizzy, and he's keeping within 0.6 of a second, as we can see at the back of the pack. Morgan down in last. Not too sure what happened there. Maybe a bit of a spin. Looks very twitchy around this second sector. Goes wide there. We haven't seen some amazing performances from Morgan so far this season. Oh, that is a touch of the grass there, just entering that corner from Sousa. Lucky not to spin out, and now he activates his battery going down the main straight. 1.6 seconds is the gap between Sousa and Tony, and then from Trixty to Tony, the gap is 1.1. So Trixty actually managed to keep DRS in DRS range round just before the final corner. Morgan gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane in last place. So let's have a look at some other battles as the top 3. The most separated we have ever seen our top 3 within the first few laps of X1 this season. In fact, the top 3 have been very, very close together, and the top 2 at least have always been within a second of each other all season long, pretty much. So for once, the focus isn't on the top 3. Let's see if we can find any smaller gaps at the back. This is a very difficult track to attack on and to overtake on. Lots of dirty air going around the second sector with these high-speed corners. Makes the tyres work a lot harder. The aerodynamics less efficient. While it isn't as impactful in the game as to real life, it is definitely still there. And this track being so narrow and so twisty with not many heavy braking zones, very hard to overtake. So yeah, just like Rolly's saying in the chat, safety cars are going to be key. And crucially, strategy is going to be key. So we can see Sousa on the soft tyre, probably going for a two-stopper here, unless he's going to go extra long on those softs. I believe I saw in the tyre graphic before that there is a possible two-stopper that involves starting on the soft. So maybe that's what we're going to see from our pole sitter so far. And the gap between Sousa and Tony down to, up to 2.2 seconds. So he's really pulling out a gap in front here. At least he's making those soft tyres work for him. That's all important if you're trying to go for a different strategy as the people behind him. So we're currently looking at Brent, who is chasing down Adam here. Only 0.2 seconds between him. So he's got a lot of pace between him. And he was only slightly faster in the previous lap by 0.02 of a second. But it is only early. Lap 5 of 35. And we're about to start lap 6. And quite a big DRS train here from P4 all the way down to P19. We have a big DRS train. Tell a lie, actually. Oh, never mind. I was about to correct myself, and then I corrected myself again, so I was right the first time. So, Brent, 0.4 seconds away on the soft tyre to Adam. So he has the tyre advantage, but he has the dirty air as well. In fact, everyone has the dirty air going around this second sector. Is that Morgan? No, that is Morgan's teammate, Tim, in the other Aston Martin, having a bit of contact there, maybe with the two AlphaTauris at the back, both Reese's, currently sitting in P17 and P18, not having a great performance so far in this race. Maybe they'll be able to turn that around with a lucky safety car and get a point or two. That is your race leader, Sousa, far in the lead. 2 seconds is the gap to Tony, and then 2 seconds is the gap to Trixty. So that Haas front row lockout, it didn't even last one corner. Well, it lasted one corner, and then it ended at the end of the first corner. And Trixty struggling to keep up with Tony Ritchie, who is naturally going to be struggling to keep up with Sousa, as Sousa on the soft tyre. But Tony Ritchie actually gaining a bit of time there in that final sector to Tony. And as they both cross the line, we're going to have a look at the lap times. Yeah, 0.5 faster, so half a second quicker for Tony on the hard tyres in that previous lap. Let's have a look at this yellow flag here. That is Tim with no front wing at all in the third sector. Not sure what's happened there. But there you go. That is the intel between our top two. Tony starting to gain a little bit on Sousa already. Those 6, maybe pushed those soft tyres a little bit too hard. 0.2 faster in the first sector was Tony. And if those tyres are already starting to go off on the soft tyre for Sousa, then it's going to be even bigger of a deficit in the second sector. But what we're looking at right now is Anton in the Alpine, heavily understeering that car around that right-hander. Chasing down Mizzy in P4. Good performance so far with the Ferrari, and also something to note that Anton has used essentially no DRS, clearly saving it all up for an attack. Mizzy also practically on full DRS, and Trixty nowhere near. So Mizzy and Anton biding their time with battery and maybe looking to make an early move, as we see Mizzy get really, really close to Trixty there, but it's going to fall away after this next DRS zone because of the dirty air in turn 3. And that is that is Morgan, actually. Stationary in Sector 3. So both Aston Martins probably going to retire before we get to halfway through this race. Not having a good time. And in fact, is almost going to get lapped by our leaders in a couple of laps' time. Not sure what these guys are doing, if they're trying to throw or not. Someone in the chat saying they're trying to get the safety car out. If they are intentionally throwing this, manipulating this Grand Prix, then that's really not good for what's going on. Morgan, another 5-second penalty in the pit lane. Really not sure what's going on with these guys. But we're watching the battle for P3 between Anton, Mizzy, and Trixty as Morgan gets lapped in the pits. And Trixty... Actually, Mizzy's not holding in the slipstream of Trixty, but gets very, very close down the main straight. And Trixty maybe goes a tad wide, and Mizzy, a lot of wheel spin on that exit. Is he going to take a lunge to the inside? No, he has a think about it, but decides to go back to the racing line as they head round this flat right-hand kink towards Sector 2. Mizzy very, very close to Trixty now, who is also losing a lot of time out to Tony Ritchie. And Sousa suddenly found a bit more pace as well in those tyres. A 10th faster than Tony Ritchie, out in the lead on that previous lap. And wow, Mizzy so close to Trixty here in these second sector. They're really, that dirty air not affecting them all as much. It would be nice to see dirty air a bit more impactful in the next game. And this big pack from P4 all the way down to P10. And then there's another pack from P11 down to P17. Everyone grouped up together around this track. As Mizzy not using any ERS, but got the DRS open. Still not looking to go for a move here on Trixty. And Jez, thank you very much for the raid of 9 viewers to the stream. Welcome in, everyone. We're currently in the EXA X1 race where Sousa started on pole and is currently holding down pole position on the soft tyres. Currently holding down first place with a 1.4 second lead. So I'm really not sure what's going on with these Aston Martin drivers, but they really need to be... Ooh, that was a big moment there from Mizzy. Looks a lot bigger than I think it actually was, maybe due to lag, but that was tough. I really think these Aston Martins need to be disqualified if they're crashing intentionally. So Mizzy dropped back a little bit of rail locking there as well. From Trixty, sitting in third, losing a lot of time out to Tony Ritchie. Just hasn't been able to keep up with him, even though they're on the same tyre compound. Clearly more pace in Tony, and he's lapping only a tenth slower than Sousa, who's on the soft tyres out in front in the lead of the race. Both of them very close, actually. 1.2 seconds between them. So Tony Ritchie not able to get in DRS yet, but the biggest gap we've seen so far this race was 2.2 seconds, and now it's down to 1.3. So it's all about, can Tony Ritchie take out another 1 or 2 tenths in the next few laps of Sousa? Mizzy, actually, we've just missed that, has, I believe, that is a 3-second time penalty. Yep. So that's a 3-second time penalty for Mizzy for track limits. So their hopes of getting a podium is not going to be so easily done anymore. Safety car out. Was that Morgan who caused that? I believe that was Morgan who caused that. I think that's an absolute disaster, really. That should be like a race ban or something. Like intentionally causing a safety car because you're in last. Really not great. But it is going to change this strategy a bit. Really not too happy with that safety car intentionally. But we're going to see Sousa head into the pits now. Yeah, Morgan intentionally throwing there. Honestly, that needs to be some sort of ban. So everybody pitting here. So it's all going to be about who can get the faster pit stop. You see Reihard's trying to get ahead of Brent on the pit lane. And started in last. And was currently up into 8th. But now it's all about who can get out with the pit stops. Who's got the optimal turn in time. The double stack from the McLarens. I think that's going to hold up Ryan Grob. But now Sprogus comes out in 9th. And only one person didn't pit, and that was Matthew May. The pit lane incredibly busy now. And I won't be surprised if Morgan gets banned for that. For intentionally causing a safety car. Slightly jeopardizing this race, however. Pretty much everyone pulling the same move here. And swapping to a new set of tyres. So Tony Ritchie goes onto the softs. And Sousa out in the lead. Goes onto the medium tyres. Matthew May didn't pit. Currently in second on 11-lap-old hard tyres. And most people have decided to go for the mediums. We've got a couple of hard runners. That would be Brent, the Williams, and Maxime in the Alfa Romeo. Currently sitting in 14th. They all put on new hard tyres, and then both Red Bulls opting for the softs, as well as Reese in the AlphaTauri, down in 18th, also putting on soft tyres. So we're bound to see another set of pit stops here, unless these drivers can make these tyres last 22 or so more laps. And I believe once Tim in the Aston Martin gets to the front of the pack, we're going to get the safety car in. So Matthew May pits under the safety car. It's going to bring him down by basically into last, because he pitted one lap too late here. Maybe the pit box was full, didn't allow him to pit. Which brings back up the order. And that order is Sousa holding down first. Where has his teammate gone? Where has Trixty gone? Down in 7th because of those pit stops. Maybe it was a double stack from Haas, and he got held up. Definitely not ideal for Trixty there at all, down in 7th. So now the top 3 is Sousa, Tony Ritchie, and then Mizzy, closely followed by Anton, Adam, Brent, and then Trixty. So very tough there in the pit stops for Trixty. And the final Aston Martin, the only one left who isn't throwing, hopefully. 9 seconds off the pack, and then we'll see the safety car come in. Eventually. So Sousa currently has the fastest lap and has led every lap in this race. So started on pole as well. So far it's a grand slam for Sousa. Safety car in this lap. Tony Ritchie almost gets alongside of Sousa. That's not allowed in EXA. You're not allowed to get alongside at all on a safety car restart of the car in front of you. So Tony Ritchie has the tyre advantage here for this restart. On the soft tyres, Sousa on the mediums. And Sousa's going to have to really get the jump here for Tony Ritchie to not overtake him. Tony's going to have the immediate advantage with the tyres, but here we go as Sousa activates the ERS. Down the main straight he goes, and Tony Ritchie already under attack from Mizzy in the Ferrari. Gets very, very close there. Sousa gets a really good launch from the restart, and Tony Ritchie is going to have to put on hard pressure very, very quickly with those brand new soft tyres. Going to be looking to make another pit stop if he does. Dab of the battery there for a little bit of extra power. And we head towards Sector 2, and Tony Ritchie puts down the fastest Sector 1. And is right behind Sousa here, heading into Sector 2. So he's going to have the dirty air, but he has the faster tyres. He's not going to be able to overtake in this second sector. It is virtually impossible to do so unless the person in front of you makes a mistake. Bit of understeer there you can sort of see from the Red Bull. Well, this is a very difficult track to get set up and driving technique right. Is he going to go down the inside there? No, not quite. A bit far out, but now look how close he is. He just has so much more grip, so much more speed around these long, fast corners. That is Matthew May causing a yellow flag in the final sector. And now Tony Ritchie using the battery, switches to the inside, gets the fastest lap, gets ahead just before the first corner, and slots himself back into the racing line for turn 1 and turn 2. And now has got to break off that lead. Got to put a lot of time between him and Sousa, as DRS will be enabled at the start of the next lap. So he's got 1 lap to put down 1 second of a gap, and he sets the fastest Sector 1 in doing so. And the gap up to 0.4 of a second as we head through the second sector. This is where we can really start to see a lot of time gained for Tony Ritchie. Let's watch Sousa and let's watch that timing screen. Matthew May retires from the session. Don't believe that's going to be any sort of safety car. And look at that gap, already up to 0.7 as we round into Sector 3. 2 corners to go until we start lap 16 of 35. DRS will be enabled this lap. And Tony Ritchie, another fastest lap for him. 1:16.959 for Tony. DRS enabled. And Sousa's not going to have it this lap, though, because the detection point is on the lap before. Another caution flag there. Not sure what that is about in turn 1. But our focus is all on this top 3. Mizzy hanging back 0.6 of a second behind Sousa. And Trixty down in 16th. Rowley saying in the chat that he span out, so his hopes of regaining that second place and making it a Haas 1-2 have completely disappeared there for Trixty. Unfortunate for him. So we're probably going to see one more pit stop in this race. Tony Ritchie on the soft tyres. No way he can make those last another 20 laps. And yes, well spotted, Rowley. Something else to notice is that Ryards has just made his way up into P5 round the final corner. And he's not going to have DRS, so Grosjean is going to retake the place back, but Ryards was on started this race from last, currently up in 6th with within 17 laps. So great performance so far from Mr. Sprogus, but he's going to score some big points, which he wasn't expecting to do so today, as we have a third retiree from the session, Adam in the Alfa Romeo. Waves the white flag in the pit lane and gives up on this race. Anton, currently in 4th. Holding on to this pack of cars, this top 4, all separated by 1.6 seconds, 1.7 seconds. As they head into Sector 3. Very short sector, only 3 corners between it. And Tony Ritchie hasn't managed to get away on those soft tyres like Sousa had managed to before. So a lot of pace with Sousa here tonight, as he opens the DRS and gains and gains and gains the gap down to 3.3 of a second as they head into turn 1 and out of turn 2. And he also has DRS again to make up for that poor exit he got out of turn 1, and is now 0.2 seconds away from Tony. But Tony has the tyre advantage for the second sector, and Sousa is doing a great job to hold on to Tony. And in fact, the P2, P3, and P4, should I say, all on the medium tyres, managing to hang on great to Tony Ritchie here, who has the biggest tyre advantage of all time. This track, very heavy on the front tyres, lots of fast, long corners, and if any of this top 4 gets a 3-second time penalty, I know Mizzy already has one, but if Anton, Sousa, or Tony get a 3-second time penalty, this is really going to change up this race even more. I haven't seen any obvious track limits, but look how close Sousa is going round that second to last corner. He could be close enough here to make a move with the DRS if he so chooses. Let's ride on board. Chasing the slipstream and the DRS. Moves to the inside there. Wheel to wheel as we go into the first corner. Sousa has the inside line. Makes it work and has DRS to escape out of turn 2 and towards turn 3. Tony has the slipstream. It's a very short DRS zone, so there's not much of an advantage you can gain. But Sousa retakes the lead, and Tony hasn't managed to hold on with, hasn't managed to gain an advantage with the soft tyres as he would have liked to. And he's probably going to have to make another pit stop as well. That is something to bear in mind. Sousa could potentially hold on to these tyres some more, or just play off what Tony does. Tony pits, Sousa pits. And he doesn't want to get undercut by Tony. So he's going to have to do some guesswork as to when he does a pit stop. So Mizzy 0.3 behind Tony Ritchie. So those soft tyres are probably starting to wear just a little bit 7 laps into this very tyre-intense track. And those mediums are going to hang on for a lot longer and start to show their pace. Probably around about now as we head on to lap 20 of 35 here at the Hungaroring. Mizzy still within DRS of the top 2. A little bit of a twitch there from Tony exiting turn 1. But they do have a 3-second time penalty, which is going to bring them down just one position, Anton would pick up the podium if no one else in the top 4 gets a 5-second time penalty. Let's have a look at Sprogus now. Leading the rest of the pack, 2.5 seconds between himself and Anton. But if we look at the timing sheets, he's 0.5 a lap quicker on the previous lap than Anton in the Alpines. So, still got some pace in him with 8 laps on those tyres after the safety car restart, which was controversially started, should I say, by Morgan, who was intentionally throwing this race because he didn't have his setup ready in time, essentially. So it's a skill issue from Morgan, which has caused him to essentially have a baby rage. And I am happy to say that on stream because I think it's just a bit childish, really, to try and throw the race in any way, shape, or form because of your own mistake. But look at that gap that's already been pulled down by Sprogus. Down to 2 seconds. And let's have a look. 0.4 faster in that previous lap than Anton, who is the driver ahead of him, who was 1/10 faster than Mizzy, who is the driver ahead of him, who was 0.2 faster than Tony, who is the driver ahead of him, who is 0.02 slower than Sousa. Out in the lead. The gap now 0.8 of a second between these two drivers as they head into the technical sector 2, which is where Tony is. We're probably going to see him start to fall off. Yeah, that gap down to 0.9 already. When is Tony going to make this pit stop? And if he makes the pit stop soon, Sousa isn't going to have to react. He can make the medium tyres last a little bit longer and prevent the undercut, essentially, from Tony. Tony out of DRS range as we head through the detection point, which is just before the final corner. And he's using a lot of battery to have to defend from Mizzy, who has DRS and is using a little bit of his ERS to get ahead. Looks to the inside, too far back. Gonna have to save it for next lap, I'm afraid, because there isn't much overtaking opportunity in this final DRS zone of the track. Let's say it's the final DRS zone. It's only after turn 1. That is Jax in the Williams. Heading into the pit lane. Front left end plate completely broken there. So he's going to have to put on a new set of tyres and a new front wing, which puts him in dead last of the runners. Tony Ritchie still 1.2 seconds away from Sousa, and Mizzy hanging on very closely to the back of that Red Bull. We've got 3 people with 3-second time penalties. One of them is Mizzy. It's going to bring them down to 4th. So they need to open up the gap between themselves and Anton. Actually, it'll bring them down to 5th because Rijkaard is currently only 1.9 seconds behind Anton. And we see Tony Ritchie head into the pits. So the question is, what is Sousa going to do? Are they going to stay out for a little bit longer on these tyres, or are we going to see them react immediately on the next lap? That is the question. My bet is they're going to stay out a little bit more, but I don't know what is in Sousa's head. I am no mind reader. It's all about judgment here for the Haas driver. And if he does pit, that'll put Mizzy into the lead. It'll be the first time that they ever lead a race here this season in the Ferrari. And virtual safety car because of a struggling Alfa Romeo there out of turn 1. Looks like they just hit the wall themselves. And I think that Sousa is actually going to pit under this virtual safety car. That's my bet. Let's have a look if any of that does happen. Grosjean is probably going to pit as well. Take this virtual safety car into his advantage if it lasts long enough for him to reach the pit lane. He's probably going to have to pit anyway because those soft tyres starting to wear out, so might as well do it this lap. But are we going to see Sousa pit under the VSC? Of course, you will lose a little bit less time under the virtual safety car. He does not pit. Stays out. Still happy with these medium tyres. Tony Ritchie down in 14th with brand new mediums. And is going to have to make those last till the end of the race. Lap 24 of 35. And we still have the virtual safety car. And it should disappear sometime soon. A couple of people pitting as predicted. Sprogis pits for new soft tyres, looking to make those last till the end of the race. A couple of other people down at the back pitting, including Grosjean. So that has given Tony Ritchie a bit more, a few less cars to have to overtake here, and that's put him up in 9th. A very well-timed safety car for Tony Ritchie, but it's confusing to me why Sousa didn't take advantage of that safety car and head into the pits himself. He would have known that a couple of drivers behind him will have been pitting. Well, he should have known. Maybe he didn't know. It's kind of hard to tell. Obviously, no race engineers here to tell you what's going on with other drivers. And didn't get the prompt from the game to pit, presumably. It's Trixty, 3-second time penalty for track limits. Started this race since... Oh, that's Sprogis retiring from the race. What's happened there? What has happened to Sprogis? On the side of the track, can we see it? We can't. His car's disappeared, but must have had a crash on the virtual safety car restart. And now Sousa leading this Grand Prix with a 1.1 second gap between himself and Mizzy, who has a 3-second time penalty. And Anton, currently sitting in 3rd, will take up a podium here if he carries on with this pace. So, 10.5 laps remaining in this Hungarian Grand Prix. Lap 25 of 35. And we're seeing who is in the pits there. It looks like a Red Bull in the pits. Tony Ritchie in the pit lane, putting on medium tyres. Has that just bottled his race? I don't know what happened. Maybe he had contact. And that has changed everything here for Tony. He's had to put on mediums. And I'm not sure why, but he's pitted again only 2 laps after pitting for a new set of mediums. Has pitted again for a second set. So really not sure what happened there with the Red Bull, but that is, I guarantee, taking him out of contention for this win. As he is currently 54 seconds behind the leader, sitting in second to last. So the chance of points and the chance of winning this race down to 0. And Sousa now, all he has to do is just not bottle this, hang on for another 10 or so laps, and it is all his to take this trophy. So it was contact between Tony Ritchie and Sprogis that caused Reinhard to DNF, Reinhard Sprogis to DNF, and Tony Ritchie to have to head into the pits. In the X1 chat, Reinhard saying at Tony Ritchie, no brakes. So clearly there must have been a dive bomb of some sort from Tony. That's what I'm getting from that, which caused him to basically be out of contention for the podium here. And now Sousa has just got to hang on. Anton will take P2 because of the 3-second time penalty from Mizzy. Trixty is actually up into 4th, but hasn't pitted yet. Our top 6 still need to hit the pits at some point, unless they're going to make these tyres last a couple more laps. They may do, as there is quite the gap between... let's see. There's quite the gap between between Trixty and our top 3. But everyone else closely following behind Trixty, who is under heavy pressure from Reese, who is... They both have 3-second time penalties. And Reese gets overtaken by his teammate Rice, for 5th position. And now Rice can hunt down Trixty here for P4. He's on newer tyres. He's on 12-lap newer tyres, in fact, which means that he's going to have quite the advantage on Trixty as they head round Sector 2. Let's ride on board and watch him. Gain and gain. That is an Alfa Romeo causing a yellow flag in turn 3. That'll be Maxime. And Rice very, very close to Trixty here. 0.2 of a second between them as they head round the final corner now. Trixty goes wide. Opens up the door for Rice, who has DRS and the faster tyres. They go wheel to wheel towards the first corner, but Rice gets ahead. Takes up P4. Going to have DRS to get ahead just a tiny little bit as they exit turn 1 and towards turn 2. Activating the battery just to get ahead by 0.6 of a second now. And now has to close down the gap to P3. 12 seconds. Many, many laps to do so. But is 1.3 seconds faster in the previous lap than Anton out ahead. In fact, 2 seconds faster than our race leader in the previous lap. So it's all doable for Reese here tonight to get himself on the podium. He told us last week that he wants to be a professional F1 esports player, and tonight is where he can show us that poor performance in qualifying to a great result here tonight. Currently sitting in 4th, but look at the time go down. It was 12.5 seconds at the beginning of the lap. Now down to 11.4, and he had to overtake a car in the meantime. In the meantime as well, Sousa's pace has completely dropped off and is now under heavy pressure from Mizzy on the 29th lap of this Grand Prix. 0.3 seconds between them. Anton trailing behind. If there's any sort of incident with Sousa and Mizzy, Anton could start to take the lead of this race here. But we're going to have to see what happens with 6 laps remaining. It's all looking a bit too much for Rice in P4 to catch up. He needs to be gaining, let's see, 2 seconds a lap at the least. And in the first sector, he is only 1/10 faster. But it's all about the second sector here, as that is where the longest sector and, of course, the most corners and the most high-speed corners, which is where his tyre advantage is really going to start to play in. And let's see how much faster he is in the second sector. A whole second faster than Anton in the second sector. So that's something to look out for, is the gap between P3 and P4 as it starts to diminish very heavily. Anton with DRS on Mizzy, with DRS on Sousa, under threat for the lead. Not necessarily from the Ferrari, but from the Alpine. Because if Anton can disperse of Mizzy, they could launch an attack on Sousa. They all have the same age of tyres here, and they have 5 laps to make it last till the end of this race. Meanwhile, Reese down in 4th, hunting them down. And he's managed to create a nice gap between him and Lewis in front, behind him, sorry, in the other Ferrari. And is going to start hunting down in the second sector, the top 3. Something else to look out for is Ryan Grubb chasing down Trixty here towards the second sector. Started in last. No, sorry, Reihard started in last. His teammate Ryan Grubb didn't have an amazing performance in qualifying. Started towards the back of the grid, but is now hunting down for some serious points here. Currently sitting in P7 and has 11 lap younger tyres than the person in front of him, the Haas driver who started in second. Look how close he is. He's not going to be able to get an overtake done there, but he's going to be able to get DRS down the main straight to be able to launch an attack here as they round the second to last corner. And now the final corner. Ryan, 0.2 seconds away from Trixty. DRS opens up. Overtake used just a little bit to get a bit more straight line speed as they go wheel to wheel towards the first corner. Ryan slots himself in. just before the braking zone, gets ahead, has DRS to make a bit more of an advantage. Safety car is out, as that is a lot of contact there between the Williams and Grosjean. Late safety car changes everything here. That's going to back up Reese. Well, that's going to bring Reese back up to the front of this pack, and the top three are going to have to do a pit stop if they want to stand any chance. But how far are they ahead of Reese? Only 8 seconds. So, are they going to concede track position with 4 laps left in this Grand Prix? This safety car has once again changed everything. So, what is going to be the strategy from our top 3 here? On the very old tyres, Sousa heads into the pits. Mizzy heads into the pits. Anton heads into the pits. What is Reese going to do? Is he going to head into the pits? Reese heads into the pits. So our top 4 all going into the pits. Lewis also pitting. Ryan Grob. So pretty much everyone is going to pit for new soft tyres here. So this levels out the playing field for the win. It's also going to drop Mizzy down quite a lot of places unless they can build a comfortable 3-second gap within the final few laps of this race. But we might not even get a final lap of this race as the safety car is... as the leaders join the safety car. But everyone is so separated at the back here that safety car is either going to go in very early or we're going to finish under the safety car. I'm not sure if finishing under the safety car is actually in the game mechanics. I think it tries to avoid finishing on the safety car as much as possible, so we could see it go in next lap. As Sprogus leaves the session, he's already DNF'd. So, 14 drivers out of the 20 that started remain. And Tony Ritchie started on the second row of the grid, started in 3rd, now down in 13th. Because of that contact on the virtual safety car restart. So we've had one safety car. We've had 2 safety cars. One at the beginning of the race, one now, and then we had a virtual in the middle of those. And Tony Ritchie had some contact with Sprogus on the virtual safety car restart, which has caused him to have to pit for a new front wing, and that's dropped him all the way down to the bottom of the leaderboard. Ryan Grob in the McLaren started dead last, has had the opposite of what Tony Ritchie has done. Brought himself up to 6th, and Trixty just behind him span out, started in 2nd with the Haas front row lockout, was the 2nd driver of the Haas's to be on the front row. And it's now all about what the top 4 can do. We know Rice has a lot of pace. We know that Sousa has got a lot of pace. We know that Anton has been able to hang on to the top 3, but we haven't seen much of him this season. And Mizzy has the 3-second time penalty, so when the safety car comes in, the pack is going to be super tucked up together, which is going to give... well, it's going to make Mizzy lose a lot of places. Lap 33 of 35, safety car still isn't in. Surely it comes in this lap to give us 2 more laps of racing to decide what happens here at Hungary. All eyes on our top 4 as they have been the real contenders for this podium. It was looking very strong for Rice. He was taking seconds a lap out of our top 3, but then the safety car came in and ruined his tyre advantage. Even though he had a 9-second gap to chase down, it looked like he was doing it, taking about 2.5 to 2 seconds a lap out of Anton, who was the driver in front of him. So it's all about staying ahead here. Sorry, I sounded like Will Buxton in Drive to Survive there. Qualifying is important because if you start at the front, you've got the other 19 cars behind you. So, Sousa, not getting overtaken is important because if you don't get overtaken, you're going to win the race. And that's good. Anyway, safety car is coming in this lap. Sousa is going to slow down the pack. And remember, in EXA, you are not allowed to get alongside of the car in front of you. So, Mizzy, 3-second time penalty. That's going to drop them back by quite a bit. Let's have a look at how much that will drop them back right now. It will drop them back to P5. So everyone on brand new softs, and which gives a very level playing field for 2 laps of racing, which is going to start in around about now as Sousa opens the tabs to lead everyone down the main straight. DRS will not be enabled, so there will be no helping hand down the final straight. And Reese has a look to the inside of Anton. Has he got enough room? I think there's contact there. Was the contact? No. It looked like he spun, but he's managed to keep it heading in the right direction. Didn't manage to get past Anton, but has managed to stay on the track as we see Lewis Walker go down the inside of Ryan Grubb, but Ryan Grubb retakes the place round the right-hand kink. They're wheel-to-wheel as we head into Sector 2. Ryan gets a little bit squeezed off the track by Lewis. Very aggressive. These guys are still wheel to wheel. Anton. Oh, that is a big push there from Ryan, pushing Lewis off the track and loses a couple of positions out to that. A couple of people with 3-second time penalties still, including Trixie. Going to lose a lot of places, but Rice in the AlphaTauri hunting down Anton. Once again, 0.3 between them. Sousa managed to getting away very well from Mizzy. He doesn't have to worry about Mizzy as he has a 3-second time penalty. And I think he's in the clear because Mizzy is going to be the big blocker between Anton or Rice and that top step of the podium, that all-important first place. So Sousa is going to get the fastest lap, actually, as well. He started on pole. He's going to get maximum points here today as we start the final lap. So Sousa got pole position, has the fastest lap, and he's currently leading the race. So he's only got a couple of kilometers to go. He's only got 4.3 kilometers to go until he takes the checkered flag. Mizzy trying to hold on. All they need to do is bring up the gap between themselves and the car behind. It's going to drop them down to... Let's see, it's going to drop them down to P4 if with that 3-second time penalty for track limits. And Sousa is holding on to this lead very comfortably. Rice has less than a lap to go. 1 and a bit sectors to be able to get past Anton. But I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. He is probably going to get a podium, though, due to Mizzy's time penalty for track limits. So we're going to see Rice on the podium once again as he uses all of the battery he can, but it is Sousa who takes the checkered flag here at Hungary, and Anton in second, Rice in third, Sousa maximum points. It's a point for pole, it's a point for fastest lap, and it's 25 points, I think, for the win. So, amazing job for the Haas driver today. Great stuff there from Ryan Grob as well, by the way. Started in last, brought himself up into the points for some big points, actually. I believe it was about 6th. Let's have a look at our top 3. As Rolly, please can you create the call with me, Chaz, and the top 3 for post-race interviews. So there it is. Sousa wins. 27 points to his name for today. Maximum points he could score. And pole was converted. So I'm going to do /prediction. And choose outcome. Was pole converted? Absolutely, yes, it was. So there you go. A couple of channel points to everyone. And Ryan Grob up into 4th after that. Great stuff from him. Started in last. Finished 4th. So congratulations to our top 3. Sousa, Anton, and Rice. All getting some really good points and putting in some amazing performances today. So we're going to head into the post-race interviews. And it's going to be very interesting to see what these guys thought. So just one moment while everyone joins the call. We've got Chaz with us as well. So, we're waiting for everyone to join the call. It hasn't happened yet. Oh, we've got one person in the call, and we're just waiting for our P2 and P3 drivers. If they don't join soon, we'll just start the interviews anyway. Okay, just typing in away at the X1 chat just to see if we can get people in the call. Oh, why is... Oh, okay, well, we're going backwards here as Sousa's just left as well. Okay, we've got two drivers. Oh, hello, everyone.
There we go. Yeah, now I can hear it. Now we're good.
Awesome stuff. So, we have with us our race winner, Sousa. Congratulations on the win today. You started on pole, you got the fastest lap, and you won. So, were there any doubts when it came to these safety cars that you might be under pressure a little bit on the restarts? Or did you feel like you had it locked down throughout this entire race?
I felt like I had it pretty locked down. I mean, Hungary is probably one of my best tracks, so I didn't really have to practice for it too much. But me and Trady, we hopped on for like an hour before the session started, and felt good right away. Other than that, I felt like there was questions if I should have went to the hards or not for the first restart, but I knew I would probably just get swarmed by the people behind me, so I chose to just go on the mediums. So then by the time the second safety or the VSC came out, I knew that it would be pretty unlikely that those guys would catch up to be the people that pitted because they were so far back. The final safety car just kind of, gave me the opportunity to go for the fastest lap, which I, gave it everything on that second to last lap to try and get it. And
Absolutely,
I did, so
yeah.
it was fantastic. Pace was very, very good. Yeah, my form has been pretty shocking recently, so it's really good to get just have a good race, clean, no real any big mistakes, one warning or two. So overall, very, very good result.
Yeah, you were incredibly consistent throughout this entire race. You managed to keep Tony behind you, who was on the faster tires at the beginning of the Sorry, wait, you were on the soft when you started the race. That's right, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you managed to build quite a good gap between yourself and Tony, and then he wasn't able to replicate it when essentially you swapped round.
Yep.
So were you having to push a lot for when Tony moved onto the softs to attack? Or
I mean, Tony, he's such a fast driver. It was difficult, but I think because I already have so much confidence at this track, I really, really enjoy driving it. In the beginning, I knew I had to burn a little bit the first lap or so, because I know Tony would he would pull the pin, he would go for it. As long as I stayed in there until we had DRS, I knew that I was able to keep the pace. And in the beginning, the first stint definitely made the race, because every time when I was pulling the gap, I was trying to recharge ERS again. So this way, when he gets to like 1.2, I can use a bit more ERS and extend the gap. So it really just worked out. The hards are a decent tire around here, but I didn't really want to start on the softs at first. I actually got baited by Tony. He put himself on the softs and then switched to the hards. So I had to start on the softs, but obviously was able to make it work. The first safety car I think it saved the race. I might have got P2, maybe P3, had it not been for the first safety car, just because the difference from the undercut and overcut. So
yeah,
overall, it was good. Pace was excellent. So yeah, I really have nothing to complain about.
lovely. Well, congratulations on the win. Chaz, I believe, has some questions as well. We've joined by Chaz tonight.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like you handled the pressure pretty well because obviously when Tony is behind you, you have to be on your toes at all times because he can he can pass you at any moment. As
Mhm.
he's kind of proved he's like the Max Verstappen at the moment here, but you seem to have handled it very well, so that got rewarded with the win, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I felt very, very comfortable. I felt like out of all the tracks on this game, this was definitely one of them that I knew that I could pull a performance like this, and just got into the lobby. Like, to be honest, like even the practice session that I did before quality, like I only did like a point 0.7 or point 0.8. It wasn't looking great, and then yeah, I just got in the session, showed up, and um, was able to put the laps together. Felt very good in the race. So overall, everything just kind of worked out. But yeah, obviously having Tony behind you, putting pressure on you, it's not easy. But I feel like he got a little bit messed up with the strategy. I don't think he meant to go on the softs. I think the strategy thing comes up from the Jeff, and he probably clicked the first option, and it gives you an option to do soft medium. Now, it did the same thing for me, and I switched it to mediums literally right before I came into the pits, or else I was going to be forced onto a two stop as well. So it was unfortunate there. I think if he was on the tire that he wanted to be on, it would be way closer between us for the rest of the race. But ultimately, it happens. It
But
sucks. But
yeah,
I mean, fortunate.
on the virtual safety car restart, he actually did pit, but had contact with another driver, so he had to pit again, which essentially took him out of contention for
Yeah,
any points really. So
yeah,
that
yeah.
is that. So next up, Anton, P2. Congratulations to yourself. You're sort of lurking in the background, really, throughout this entire race, keeping up with the pack, but not making many moves. Was that just because you knew that the Ferrari in front of you had a time penalty and you were just going to settle for the P2, not try to make any rash moves?
Well, I mean, yeah, I was not trying to go for more risks than I had. On last laps before last safety car, I thought maybe I can overtake Ferrari and then fight with Mark, but that idea seemed to me very difficult and too risky. So I just tried to stay in the race train just to save my second position.
Yeah, well, it was a very consistent driving from you, just like Sousa today. So great performance. Chaz, you got anything else to add?
Not a lot really, but you just seem to handle everything fairly well, which got you rewarded with the P2, obviously with the Ferrari ahead having that penalty. So you just did everything that was needed and got a good result.
Yeah, so you started
Y-
in fourth. That's right for this race, right, Anton?
Yeah, I did. I had
Yeah,
pretty good qualifying this before, and then race I was just consistent. I wasn't fastest. For example, Mark or Ferrari, the guys were like faster than me, but I just did no mistakes, which helped me to be on podium today.
absolutely. Yeah, it was great consistency from you and very good pace. So congratulations on P2. And now we have Rice. You started down in positions on qualifying, but managed to make up some good points today and get yourself a podium. So what was it down to today for some a strong recovery?
Hi, first of all, I just want to ask you guys, did you guys enjoy the race, both of you?
Yeah, it was an absolutely great race,
I
mate.
loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah? Yeah? Okay, well, I mean, yeah, let's get into it. The quali was, yeah, absolutely terrible. I'm not really that fond of this track, but yeah, I had an incident lap one that put me dead last. I was P20, so that didn't help. Yeah, but I knew that safety cars were gonna come, and I basically timed the overtakes right, waited for the chaos to unfold, kept my nose clean, and yeah, the main thing was that the race pace was definitely there. I'm pretty sure I gapped the Ferrari behind me. I can't remember his name, but usually I was able to, you know, escape out of the DRS. But what would have been interesting is I was the lead car of the group that had boxed under safety under VSC. That would have been interesting to see. Would I have caught the guys in the front because I was catching them 1.5 seconds a lap. I
Yeah,
believe so.
I was looking for that before the final safety car. It was like around about 2 seconds a lap, and that is what you needed to catch up, but didn't leave you enough time to overtake. So it would have been interesting to see what happened if
think I
that
had enough.
final safety car
Yeah.
hadn't come out.
Yeah, 100%. I had enough ERS and I was catching them a lot. And obviously, their tires are falling off a cliff. They're going to hit the
Yep.
second drop off. So, or if not, they were going to get a puncture. So, I was looking forward to that, and it was really, really, really exciting for me. I was actually quite happy to chase someone all those seconds down, and it was quite fun. But then, unfortunately, I don't know who crashed. Some guy at the back crashed, so
Yeah.
you know it happens. And yeah, I wasn't able to make the over. It's really, really difficult to overtake at Hungary without DRS on. So yeah, fair play to Anton who held his position. I mean, against someone like me, it's going to be difficult, but yeah, he did well. So well done to him, and well done to the rest of the podium. However, one good point is that yeah, where's Tony Rishi? Was he
Tony,
in P11, P12?
yeah, he
He
had
didn't score any points.
an incident
Right.
after the
So what
virtual
that does,
restart, after the virtual safety car. He, I believe he like went for a dive bomb on Sprogus, and Sprogus had to retire from it, and he had wing damage, so he had to pit again.
right now, what that does is that puts about 3 or 4 of us in contention for the title now. So before this race, I didn't really care. I was just here for fun, just to get some race laps
Yeah.
under my belt and use it as a bit of practice. And yeah, it looks like we're in the title fight now. I missed the race, so I didn't think I was going to be in it, but Tony Ricci's bottled it today, so we're gonna be on for a title race all the way down to the end, I think. And
Absolutely,
I'm gonna bring my A game. Tony Ricci is definitely not gonna be able to handle that, but yeah, GG to Mark as well. Mark, really, really good pace today, mate. So well done.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, Chaz, you got anything to add on to that, mate?
Well, not a lot, but I will say that, I mean, to come down from last at the start to come back and get that podium is just pretty damn impressive, I must say. So
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
just an amazing race from you all round. So just incredible, really. I don't know what else to say. I was
Yeah,
pretty amazed at that.
I also want to say something as well. Yeah, thank you for that comment. I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate the
Yeah.
commentary. I've been watching the commentary, the streams since the beginning of the season, and you guys have done a really good job. So
Oh well,
well done. Keep
we
it
love
up.
to hear that, mate. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do.
keep it up, guys, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Can I just get a thoughts for just one incident that happened? That first safety car was caused by Morgan Edwards, who was in the Aston Martin, and
Who?
yeah, exactly. It seemed that he was he's currently last in the drivers' championship with no points, and it seemed that he was throwing on purpose. Because he didn't get the chance to load his setups. What are your thoughts on that sort of thing? He caused a safety
Just-
car on
That's
purpose.
league racing
Just
heritage
four.
right there, mate. League racing heritage. Gotta love
I
it,
think
man.
I think a lot of that is just stupidity, like just sheer stupidity. I think it tends to be some of the like assist drivers in this league that they lack awareness, they lack brain
Just
cells.
immaturity, yeah. It's just
It's
immaturity.
immature.
Call it.
It's
Yeah.
stupid. Yeah.
Well, do you think?
But at the end of the day, we're here for it.
Yeah.
It's league racing. It's what we love. Some people might ruin it, but still, it's funny. So it's made it entertaining. Look, if that didn't happen, Tony Rishi wouldn't be out the points. And let's face it, he was running away with the championship because no one else really cared that much. But now we all care. Now we're in a race. Mark Souza's in the title fight. His teammates in the title fight. I'm in the title fight. Yeah, bring on Zandvoort, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Zandvoort is next Wednesday. Yeah, so Rice, you're currently sitting in third in the drivers' standings before this race. You're going to get quite a few points, which is, I believe, that's going to bring you up.
Is there a point for a poll?
Yeah, so it's 1 point for pole, 1 point for fastest lap, and then 25 points for first place. So if I'm looking at the drivers' standings correctly as they stand, I believe, Rice, you will move up into second place just about. Currently 67.5 points to your name. And then, Sousa, you will move up up into 5th, I think, in the drivers'
bad.
standings. Currently sitting in 7th with 39 points. I think that'll move you up into 5th if my quick
think I picked-
arithmetic is
did-
correct.
Does it count my reserve points? Probably not, right?
If you're, what do you mean reserve? So for
I reserved for the first 2 races of the season, and then I got a full-time seat after that.
Yeah, I think
It does for
counts.
teams, but not for drivers. It does for teams, though, I
Ah.
do believe. I might be wrong, but I think
well, it says here you DNF'd in Saudi Arabia and then 6th in Qatar. So I think
I
it
was
does.
racing for first 3 races, and my points from that were counted in championship.
Yeah, I think the reserve points do count.
Okay.
If you get the full-time seat. Anyway, that's all we have time for today. Thank you very much, guys, for joining this interview. We very much appreciate your thoughts after the race, and we will see you all next week. Bye-bye.
in
Appreciate
a
it.
bit,
Thank you.
guys.
So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. That was a pretty long post-race interview, but very interesting and very nice to have a chat with our top 3, of course. We are here same time next week for Zandvoort, in the Netherlands. The Orange Army, I'm sure, will be there virtually, of course. So thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.